Hey my loves, it's Ty, back with another VR to the Tag Top Tarot Trumps by the lovely Marsha of Musings by Marsha. Currently up to number 6, The Lovers. So I'm going to show you 5 examples of, well, they're not all from tarot decks, but 5 examples of the Lovers or Lovers adjacent cards. So let's take a look. So just as a quick note, I have had some delays in filming this video because there's so much construction going on near my house. So if there's any construction noise in the background, I do apologize. I've been so excited to get to the Lovers specifically for this card. This is my favorite Lovers card and maybe one of my favorite cards out of any deck anywhere ever. This one is from the Fyodor Pavlov tarot. And obviously what we have here is we have a trans couple as the lovers in a depiction that's kind of similar to Adam and Eve on the Rider-Waite. I think the art in this one is so amazing. Everything about it is gorgeous, just from the choice of how the line work is executed, how the design is put together. I love the sort of burning heart at the top, arrow, the hand fasting ribbons. And I suppose one of the main reasons why I love this one so much is the fact of representation. I am trans and a lot of people I love are trans, and I think this is, you know, my forever deck, my favorite deck, simply for that fact that how often do we see ourselves reflected? Not that often, and so it's, when you find something like that, you hold on to it. So that is my favorite Lovers card. Next up we have this one from the White Numen tarot, and we have 2 women as the lovers on this one, which I do like as well, having a bit of a diverse representation in our cards. Oftentimes the lovers is one that I find a lot of different decks show it very similarly, so I found it a bit hard to find examples that were showing, I suppose, different facets or different potentials for this card. So I do like that one for this. Again, I really like this art style, the very bright colors. We've got the sort of dark and light represented by these 2 characters. And also we have the snakes, which the author of this one says represents sexuality. You can see as well in the Rider-Waite one, the snake in the tree, which represented the kind of temptation for Adam and Eve for eating from the tree of knowledge. And so temptation is a very common theme for the lovers, and that can be, of course, like sexual temptation towards a particular person. It can be temptation to stray from a monogamous relationship, which is something that I don't necessarily relate to very strongly as a non-monogamous person. It can be temptation to change yourself for a relationship. There's so many ways that it applies. And that segues well into my next choice, which is the lovers from the 8 Coins Tattoo Tarot. We have 2 snakes in this one, very intertwined and intermingled, which I think is a really good way of showing that facet of this card of the combination of things, the choice that we make when we choose to enter into a commitment of intermingling our lives and ourselves with another person, and also there's that kind of sexual nature of what happens when people are having sex, I guess you could say. That whole idea of sensuality and intermingling. And then, of course, the tattoo style that this is drawn in, the sort of, we call it spit wash, watercolor, black shading that's gone into these roses that then has color laid over top. It's very gorgeous. In all honesty, those were the extent of tarot cards that I wanted to choose for this particular card this time. So my next ones are oracle cards. I just wanted to show, this is Eros. And the reason why I have chosen Eros as one of the cards for this theme is because of something that I was inspired by in the guidebook, which says, Eros was one of the first entities to be brought into being, as procreation requires the desire for lovemaking, and the world could not be populated without the hot flames of amorous lust. So it calls to mind for me not just desire, but attraction and magnetism, which is what I see in the Lovers. The Lovers represents Gemini astrologically, which we often think of as being that very magnetic personality type, the type of social butterfly who can draw people into them. And I think of magnets, pulling something towards them. But then there's also that aspect of what happens when the sides of a magnet repel each other. So that's kind of like the two sides, I guess, to desire and to magnetism. And just finally, I've chosen a few of these oracle cards from the Wild Unknown Archetypes deck, which I won't go into the meaning of each and every one of these cards because they're actually all fairly complex, but I found that the sort of conglomeration of these cards really sums up to my impression of, I guess you could say, the Lover's card. So we've got Eros, the Heart, the Vow, of course being that commitment, whether it's to a person or to yourself, to God or spirituality, to anything. That's something that I really equate to the Lover's card. The Ring, the Kiss, and of course the Lover. In this deck, the Lover is symbolizing appreciation for beauty and sensuality and appreciation of the beauty of everything and seeing that in another person but also in yourself, which I think is really lovely. That challenge of, I think it relates to the challenge of Gemini in general, really, where you might excel at interacting with other people and at mirroring other people, at being a people pleaser, being a social butterfly, being someone who can pull out everyone's secrets. These are all things I associate with Geminis. They're great songwriters. If you look up Gemini songwriters, there's a lot of them, and a lot of times they're very controversial people, but they express things in ways that are very astute and that people can relate to very strongly. And then the other thing I think of for Geminis is interviewers. So that ability to pull out the story from another person. But the opposite side of that coin, of course, is we have to apply that same lens to ourselves. So finding that same beauty and that same interest that we see in other people in ourselves. So this has been my favorite Lovers cards from both tarot decks and a couple of oracles. Thank you again to the lovely Marsha from Musings by Marsha. It's been so much fun going through this tag, watching them all, and also participating. Has taken me a little while to get this one done just because I had some struggles with the filming. Hoping to continue on with card 7 next week. So if you enjoyed this one, please do subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.